Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight. We have our special guest today, which is the founder of Haka. Zoe, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience today? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Oda. Hi, everyone. So yes, as Ada said, I am the founder of Growth Hacker. It's a growth marketing, growth hacking consultancy based in the United Kingdom. My background, very shortly, is over 25 years in digital marketing and growth for a range of companies, predominantly SaaS companies, so software as a service, and run a ton of campaigns to drive growth for all these clients.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Really excited for this episode today. Just to give a little bit of context to those new users who are watching this episode, the goal of the show is to educate our viewers on how important it is to have a strategic journey in place, and probably help educate those CEOs who think that just launching an ad is going to solve all of their sales problems. I think it is super important to show people how many steps we have to go through, and that this is not just a linear journey. Everything has to be connected. There's a lot of steps involved that the user takes into consideration before they actually proceed to make a purchase. So with that being said, I'm confident you're going to be great about talking about the company that we have chosen for today, which is MyMHealth. I think they offer like online tools to help people manage long-term health conditions like asthma, diabetes.
Yeah. So they're a med tech company. They produce a software. Their main service is a software which they provide. The end user is a normal Joe Public, but the software they provided is ideally to be used by health providers, hospitals, clinics, or private, public, doesn't really matter, whereby they can offer this software to their patients. And within that software is various tools for that patient to manage their patient outcomes and their hopeful health improvements.
That's great. I think it's going to be an interesting one to see.
Yeah, it's complex. So health, I'm sure in the US it's quite similar to the UK and most of the world, that health is a regulated industry, and different challenges come when it comes to marketing and promoting your service, even in a sort of B2B environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that we mentioned even in another episode is that even if a different market and there are different products, the journey is very similar. Like, we need to drive people from awareness to conversions, or similar channels or strategies that we need to kind of like take into consideration. So,
yeah, I mean, standard principles are in terms of the consumer journey. We need to think about awareness being one of them, consideration, evaluation, purchase, advocacy, review, etc. Again, because it's health, it's even more complex. It's not something you're going to see on the TV. Unlikely to see a TV advert for it, or general sort of marketing. So you need to be, and with the end users being clinics and hospitals, and the decision makers within those environments being medical people, business people, operational people, there needs to be quite a lot of thought given to how you're going to communicate to your product and services to them.
Absolutely. So this is a journey that I think we've seen together and we've in place for the show. If someone comes to you, someone from MyMHealth comes to you with no data and just wants to know your opinion, how would you approach this kind of plan? How would you take this into something that could be really valuable for them? What would be your approach?
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is, I guess their core offerings and services that they offer. And these are probably things that organizations will consider whether to make that decision to sign up with this service. The core element here is that, communication. What is it how will they get these end buyers to to consider using their service. So if we're talking about the awareness part, the basic solutions that they provide. So they've got their website, which is quite detailed. It's quite informative. Most of the information about the services are there. And, there's a call to action to book a demo. But first we need to get them to that awareness stage. And from my experience in B2B, there's a very obvious route to market in terms of how you're going to be communicating your services. And you mentioned ads at the beginning. Yes, ads is one channel, but ads are expensive. Doesn't matter which channel you're advertising on, whether it's LinkedIn or Google. The thing is that if your budget is limited, then, for ads, then we need to think of more organic routes. Social media comes into that category, obviously, whether it would be an immediate thought for someone to consider to talk about product or service like this. So this is to track my diabetes, for example, or my asthma is one of the other products. These are quite detailed health conditions. As we said, the people that will buy the solution are not necessarily people suffering from the illnesses, right? They want to be able to offer it to their patients. So I would definitely consider LinkedIn as a channel to communicate. There's obviously your LinkedIn company page. So LinkedIn has what up to, I think, 1 billion users right now. 1%, only 1% of those 1 billion are creating and sharing content regularly. So there's a big opportunity to your message and your information about your services to be seen by your potential ICP or your prospects. And I've worked with a number of healthcare clients, and a lot of them are on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised, especially the people that are involved in buying solutions. They regularly browse that network and they're looking for information. One of the most obvious routes that they will look for information is via thought leadership. And LinkedIn today has 6 or 7 key areas where you can create content and share that content and push that content out to people without spending huge amounts on advertising dollars. Of course, you have the LinkedIn Ads Network, which can be a supplemental route to promoting that message, but it can get really expensive. Cost per user or cost per sale is 5 to 10 times more than, say, Facebook or Google. And of course, you would factor in the other channels like Google and Facebook and maybe even TikTok, because the end users who are patients of these clinics are on those networks. And if they see content geared to them, they would be potentially going to ask their healthcare providers, can we get this ad? But in this context, we're talking about the B2B buyers. And as I mentioned, there's key areas. So there's the LinkedIn company page, there's the LinkedIn groups, there's the sort of SlideShare network. Those are sort of like company focused ones, right? Problem with the company focused content pages is that their reach is limited. If you've got 2,000 followers or 10,000 followers, it'll be those people that will see your content. If you want to reach further people, I'm a big advocate of company employees creating content about the company and sharing on personal profiles. So building your personal brand, but at the same time using your reach. So the personal profile reach has more than the company pages. Then the second thing I recommend is to post regularly. So I would look at the company CEO, the CMO, key people who we want to establish as thought leaders in this space, to be posting daily. If not daily, then at least 3 to 4 times a week, same time every week. So consistency and sharing content. I mean, if you again look at their website, they have huge amounts of content for each of these stages of the buyer journey. But, the personal brand, promoting company content, these are key areas here in the journey that people need information on. These are how they're going to assess whether they should sign up in MyMHealth. I'm sure MyMHealth also have competition in offering similar services. It's rare that you'll be the only one in the market. So you need to produce the content. You need to get that content out there. You need to consider different formats of content. LinkedIn promotes your content more, based on multiple factors. The algorithm, I'm sure everybody's heard about algorithms. One of those key factors in the algorithm is dwell time. How long people are consuming that content, whether they're just clicking like and reading one page or they're actually spending some time on the content you produce. And certain formats of content are better for increasing that dwell time than others. So, for example, you may have seen on LinkedIn, lots of people nowadays are sharing LinkedIn carousel. It's a nice, simple, easy way to kind of put your information out there, easy for people to consume. And, they look good. If you use software like Canva to make your designs, they're aesthetically pleasing. Ultimately, considering, running, we don't want to overrun on time. If this is the buyer journey, I definitely am a big advocate of AI and marketing these days. We can devise a whole content strategy from this. You can ask platforms like ChatGPT or Claude to devise your content strategy based on who your ICP is, so your ideal customer profile. It can plan out a 30-day calendar for you, create the content for you. Obviously, I wouldn't just post the initial outcome from the AI straight onto the channels, but it gives you a platform to build upon. And, these are potentially complex topics, in terms of patient engagement across programs or therapeutic platforms, what sort of metrics should we be thinking about? So definitely AI can help in that department. And then the other reason we should share content regularly. So again, if you think of the algorithm, and if let's say I've got 8,000 followers, right? Or 8,500, whatever. LinkedIn only shows my content to maybe 10% of them organically, right? If I post only once a week, the chances of my network and extended network seeing my one post a week is limited because of the way the feed works, right? If you've got, you're following multiple people, etc., the feed just scrolls past. So the post life is minimal. Hence why if you post regularly, and especially from personal profiles, there's more likelihood that the algorithm will show your content to the potential people that you want to share it with. That content then builds up. If you post regularly on your LinkedIn profile, that becomes a library of content that you can then drive people to from direct messaging. You can engage with the ones who are liking and sharing your content or commenting on your content. Ideally, we want people to drive discussion based on your content. So there's multiple formats of how your posts could be, what type of content or information you're sharing. And then as that pool builds, so I use DuckSuit. Don't know if you've heard of it. It's a LinkedIn automation tool. Really, really cool, simple software whereby you build lists, and there's a number of ways to build those lists of your ideal customer profile people. But you can do it whilst you're browsing. So say we want the head buyer at clinics of technology. So we search for them on LinkedIn. We go into LinkedIn. We have our DuckSuit Chrome app running in the background. You see your prospects. You just click add to the list that you pre-built list, and that pushes them into an automation program whereby you can send a connection request, you can send a message, you can like you can engage on their profile, things like that. Kind of further down that LinkedIn funnel and continuing that sort of relationship building. At B2B sales, I've been in B2B sales for some time now. To close a sale can take anywhere from 1 contact to 14 contacts over a year. The larger the value of the deal, the longer it can take to convert them. So, again, you can't keep spending. If you need to contact them 8 to 14 times, you can't keep spending money on ads. The best way to reach your potential audience is organically and to utilize and leverage social media. And LinkedIn would be my portal of choice to start. I think
that
I'm
that
going
was super
forward there.
interesting, and I think that was super interesting, and I think a fresh approach to the other journeys that we've seen. It's interesting how you also leverage from AI, because I think there's this group of haters, people who don't have an opinion, and people who really leverage from, because it should definitely not like your main source of ideas. You should all craft your own strategy, but it definitely helps being an editor. It definitely helps being helps brainstorming, and more in these type of businesses where you really need to wait. I think mostly these executives need help to explain their buyer persona in simple words what they do, because it is a little bit complex. So how can they talk in their language? So thank you so much. Is there any major takeaways that you want to give before we wrap it up?
My only takeaway would be, AI, like you said, there's differing opinions of AI. I've been using it for the last 18 months now. It's changed the way I work. It's not the perfect end solution, but it definitely, as part of your workflow, can give you more options and help you scale, most importantly.
Thank you so much, Sagi. Where can our audience find you if they're interested in learning more about you?
So I'm on LinkedIn, obviously, as I said, Zohe Mustafa. You can also visit my website, growthhacker.co.uk, but I'm mainly on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time there, so you'll see my content.
We can see, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really insightful. So you've been a great guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.